Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue on with our Quatre project update, and in this update, it's we got some good news. Okay, so let's go ahead and just touch on a few things before we get into that document that's on the left-hand side. I've finished painting. We've got all the allies done. We have all the French done. Finished. I have written the scenario, which is over on the side here. We have terrain, battle map, the hills, buildings, hedges, walls, fencing, all trees, river, bridges. All of that is done. And then we've got the I did the limbers. We got them finished. I have range rulers. I've already got like a handful of clipboards. I think I'm going to take like eight clipboards. I got a ton of clipboards. I'm going to take my clipboards, and on each clipboard I'm going to put a unit card, and those unit cards are going to be handed to the players, and so they know what units they control. Okay, and those we'll be going over. I keep pointing this way, but yeah, we're going to go over those here in just a second to show you the unit cards that you would see. There is a final page in this document that is for the referee, Mike, Adam, and I's eyes only. We're running the game. We know when the units arrive. We know what special scenario obligations the troops have and things like that. And even after the convention, once we film the convention, I come back and I show the scenario, show the game and all that stuff. The scenario description will be in. This booklet, this Google Doc will be in the description. Spoiler alert, if you're planning on coming to NashCon and you're going to be playing in our Quatre game, don't read the last page. Don't go there. This is up for those of you that aren't going to have an opportunity to go to the convention. At least you can see what scenario we are playing. You can follow along and go all that good stuff. It's basic Quatre info over here, right? I mean, you can read as I scroll, but basically the French are attacking, the Allies are defending, they only have like militia troops defending, and then what happens is over the course of the game, the Allies filter in troops to support the Quatre battle and hopefully repel the French. Because the French are probably going to make some quick work out of the militia. They're just going to brush them aside, probably. And then the British will have to come in and plug the gaps with all their follow-up troops. That's probably what's going to happen. Okay, a couple of considerations that we're going to be making in this scenario is that brigades with 2 units, because there's some units, some brigades only have 2 units in them. The rule is in the book, the main book there, that as soon as you hit 50%, the whole brigade is broken, and that's real easy to do. Because if you've got 2 units, it makes them fragile. So if you have 2 units and this one unit here takes 3 hits, which shakes them, now the whole unit is broken and they cannot get back from being shaken. They can't be rallied in any shape or manner or form. So it makes them too fragile. The scenario book, Albion Triumphant, they recommend the way they do it is if in a brigade with only 2 units, both of them have to be broken before the whole brigade is broken. If there's 3 or more, it still winds up being 2, because 2 is more than 50% of 3. 2 is 50% of 4. If there was 5, you would have to do 3. But there's very few brigades that have 5, and you'll see here in a minute. Okay, so that's one consideration. So if you have only a brigade of 2 units, you don't get broken if only one of them are shaken. All right, next one, next rule, and this is a rule I've been struggling with for a long time, trying to figure out a way to make forming square not a guarantee. And again, they say that in their games, what they do is if a unit is in line formation, they have to make a leadership test to form square. If they're in a column, they use the book rules: roll 2 dice and don't get 1s, don't get 6s. Even so, 6s are still, I don't remember, but it's 1s and 6s, double 1s, double 6s have some effect, and every other combination doesn't have effect. So that's only 2 in 36, right? Okay, or 1 in 18 chance of something happening when you form square, where if you're in line, you got to make a leadership test. That's about a 50-50, because some of these guys have, like, I'm looking at Bachelou right there. Well, he's not a brigade commander. Looking at Campy right there, he's got a strategy rating, staff rating of 7, so you got to roll 7 or less. Okay, so so it's 50% on 2 dice. Well, it's actually better than 50%, because if it was 6 or less, it would be 50%, right? I can't remember the number, because 7's right in the middle. But okay, Jerome's division, right? The way this scenario is written, there in Real's core, he normally has 4 divisions. He normally has Bachelou, Foy, and Jerome, and Pyre. Bachelou and Foy fought in the clearing. They fought up towards Quatre Bras, and these are the 2 divisions we'll be focusing on. The 3rd division was Jerome, infantry division, that is. Jerome deployed his troops in the Bazou Woods, fighting a brigade of Nassau skirmishers. And that took all day, so he was pretty much out of the fight. And then there's Pyre with his cavalry, and he's obviously not in the woods. So what we're going to play with in the scenario is not Jerome. We're going to be playing with Foy, Bachelou, and Pyre. They're the ones that are going to be attacking from the core. That core is what's going to be attacking. And Jerome is going to be in the woods, off table, out of the scenario. Don't have to have any figs ready for that. All right, so, okay, moving on. Now, there's a map here, which you can't really see very well, but this map I took, and if you watched my terrain mat building videos, I explained where I got the dimensions and how I figured out the map and all that stuff. Well, the roads and the river and the lake and everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. There is, I might have drawn these buildings on too small. Once I set up the map tonight, I'll come back in and I'll edit the map however I need to make sure that the building sectors are actually in the right place on the map, because I want the map to be pretty accurate to what's on the table. Basically what happens is 1st Brigade of the 2nd Dutch Belgian Division, which is Bijland's Brigade, can set up anywhere in here, and then the 9th Division and the 5th Division and the 2nd Cav Division, Pyre, can set up all in this area. And then when Kellerman does arrive, he'll arrive in this section. And when the 5th Division enters and the Brunswick Division enters, they'll enter between the 2 roads right there. That's pretty much what that's saying. And if you notice, this is probably where all of the game is going to take place. This over here is just extra on the table. And if the French want to take maybe a brigade from 5th Division and have them swing around and come up this way, they can do that. But I assume the British are all going to be defending in this general area. And yeah, over here off the table is where Jerome and the Nassaus are fighting. All right. Okay, now this is just telling you which units are in the battle. These pages aren't really that important because it's all explained later on these cards right here. Like this card here is going to be, this page is going to be printed for the player that's playing the 2nd Dutch Belgian Division. He has 2 brigades. He's got the 1st Brigade with all these units, and then he's got the 3rd Light Cavalry Brigade with these units. Remember, artillery doesn't count, and this would be considered 2 brigades. Same thing with this. This is a 5 brigade unit. There you go. A 5 battalion unit. I'm sorry. You just don't count the artillery. Okay, continuing on, we got Picton's 5th Division. Now, he's got 3 brigades. Kempt, Pack, and Best. And their staff ratings are along here. And it looks like he's got 4 battalions there, 4 battalions there, and 4 battalions there, plus artillery. Okay, I guess I could put a number up here like the the break number or whatever, but we're not going to do that because you don't need it. It's 50%. The Brunswick detachment, they get a whole page of their own, and you get the 1st and 2nd Light, the Hussars, the Uhlans. They're 6 battalion brigades, so they're big brigades on the Allied side. And then, but when you get on the French side, you got 5th Division, which is Bachelou. He's got 4 units in his. He's got 3 units and a foot. And then Foy has 4 there and 4 there with a battery. Okay, so Bachelou, Foy, and then Pyre. Pyre has his own cavalry division. Hubert with his chasseurs. And then you've got Wathier, or whatever, with his lancers. And then Kellerman with his cuirassier. So the 2 battalion, or the 2 battalion brigades would really apply mainly to the 2nd Cavalry Division, right? And then I made my own quick reference chart. I took one of the quick reference charts that Warlord Games gives, and then I went through and did some editing. I took out all the, like on the ranges, I took out all of the weapons that are not being employed, like rifle, like breech loaders and mortars and stuff like that. I took all that stuff out of there. I took any modifiers out of the chart that didn't apply to this scenario because it would just be in the way. And so I put down movement distances of only the things that are in the game. And then by taking things out, it freed up some room on the card, which I put in right down here, this section, formations, of what formations are allowed in the scenario, right? Because the French aren't really well trained, and the Netherlands are mostly militia, and the Hanovers are landwehr. The only ones that are really worried about are the British, the Brunswick, and some of the French units. But so I figured out which combinations of formations we wanted to use, and there are some formations in Albion Triumphant that they said that they play with, but they also say that they're not official rules, they're house rules, and they do affect the game. It just depends on how you want to affect your game. So I use 1 or 2 of them and not all of them. So that's all explained. Like I'm not using the British can't form attack column, because they can form something called a 4 rank line, which will look exactly like this, right? Because most of my, if not all, of my British units, all but 1 I think, are 4 bases. The base, the formations that they recommend, or they don't recommend, but they have or they use in this book, are all based on players, us, using 6 base units. I cut corners to get Quatre Bras done in time. I made sure that, and financial reasons as well, to make sure that everybody got finished, we did units. Our standard units are 4 bases, and our large units are 6 bases. So, so if there is a 6 base column, it'll be like this. British, we're just going to go ahead and let them form column. It's going to be exactly like a column. And then if you just, and if just the horses are just going to be exactly like that as well, because we cut corners on how many bases the horses. I think the horses are supposed to have 12 figures, and ours have 8. So we've dropped, instead of 6 bases again, they're down to 4 bases. So they're just going to all exactly, everybody's going to have the exact same formation styles. That we're not going to worry about, you know, the pod charge or the column of companies, or, you know, any of that junk. We're just going to go with, you got mixed units that have skirmishers, can put their skirmishers out in front, like while they're in a line. If they're in a column, you just take one of your bases and put it out in front. Or if you form line like this, you form march column like this, which is also the exact same thing as a British column of companies. And then you have the columns here for depending on the size. That's all we need. That's all you need. And so the dice modifiers and all that stuff is all, now it hasn't changed. That's all going to stay exactly the same. Okay, so the document is done. Awesome. I went through and made labels. I told you that I was, and I did. I made labels. Now let me see if I can show you some of these labels on camera. I don't know, the lighting is behind me and not directly in front of me, so you might not be able to get good picture on the labels. But there is a label. All right, so this is a division general with his 2 figures, right? And the label that I put on there, which, you know, I trimmed in the middle and so they could fold, so we could make a rounded edge. Like this one is, okay, hold on. Whoa, it was focusing and I moved it away. Now this one's 5th Division, Bachelou, you know, with his staff rating is 7. So the division generals just have their name, the division they're in, and their staff rating. And this is a brigade commander. Now brigade commanders have the brigade they're in, the division they're in, their name, and their staff rating. Because generals, really all you need to know is what unit they're commanding and what their staff rating is. And this is a command stand of British. I mean, I'm sorry. Whoa, British. This is French. This is a command stand of French. Okay, let's get some light on that. There you go. You can see that what regiment, what battalion and what regiment they're in. It's the 1st Battalion of the 72nd Line, which is part of the 2nd Brigade, 5th Division. And then I put there 3 primary stats, the one you would see in the manual. All right, so I scrolled it over, right? So you can see the 1st 72nd on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, his H, S, M, and S. So that's your hand-to-hand, your shooting, your morale, and your stamina, right? Now morale is like an armor save, so it's a hit save, so it's a 4 or better. And then your hand-to-hand is, and shooting is how many dice you do in each of those, and your stamina is how many hits you can get before you're shaken. And this way, with the labels on the figures, you don't have to refer to this, but you can. This will be on a clipboard, but you don't have to, because it'll be right here. So when you're actually looking at your troops out there on the battlefield and you're like, how many dice do I roll? You can actually look at the figures and say, all right, they're S3, so I'm shooting with 3 dice. Everyone has 18-inch muskets. Every Smokin' Joe that can shoot is 18-inch muskets. I mean, that's, except for the 95th Rifles has a 24, and artillery pieces, they shoot further. But other than that, everybody is 18 inches. 95th Rifles, only unit on the table that can shoot 24, and the artillery, if it's a foot artillery piece, it's shooting 48 inches. If it's a horse artillery piece, Where would there be a horse? There we go. Horse shoots 36. Horse also only has 1 stamina, where foot has a stamina of 2. Like that. Other than that, they're the same. All right, guys. So we got our labels. We got our terrain. We got our miniatures. We got the mission statement. And now what all I need to do is tonight, after I make this video and edit it and start uploading it, as soon as I start uploading it, I'm going to pull my map out. I'm going to set up the table, and we're going to get it all set up. And then tomorrow afternoon, when I wake up, I'm going to do a couple of playthroughs. I'm going to record them, and then I'll edit them and upload them tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, look for my Quatre Bra playthroughs before the convention. I gotta work out some bugs. That should do it. All right, I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for coming out and checking out this video, and I'll see you then.